Okay, this is my second time recording this because the first one was that bad I scrapped it midway. So this is my lap guide of Spa with the LMP3, the Ligia LMP3. This car track combination is a match made from heaven, perfect, in other words. So this lap was a 112.053. Where does that lie in competitiveness? Quite well, to be honest. Oh, look at that. Already ready for me. Okay, so this absolute alien, I don't know if he's touched grass yet, but here we go. His best lap in a race was 2:11.673. That's a lot faster than mine, but that's because the conditions are a lot better towards the end of the race. If we see laps, it's probably towards the end. Yep, there we go. So we can see how much difference the track state makes to a lap. So in a race, you can expect to be like 5 tenths faster, some 4 tenths even. It's quite a lot of difference, but anyway. So, coming up to La Source. I hate this corner in this car, and you'll see why. We want to brake. I brake as soon as I see this orange barrier, just before I pass it. And we shift down into first, and we want to turn in late here. This inside curb on this lap, I did take it, but we can brush the inside curb, but we don't want to smash it into it too hard because that can bounce us, and then we lose lap exit speed. And this corner is very crucial because you have the camel straight afterwards, so you need a good exit out of this corner. As you can see, my downshifts are very gradual as well. It's not like a spamming downshift with that ACC Gran Turismo and other games really want from you. It's more of a like you need a timing for it. It's like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's how I always do it. This Moser is crap though. It keeps disconnecting from the base, so sometimes my shifts get missed and stuff like that. It's infuriating, but I'm getting it fixed. So we want to brush against this inside curb, and this is why I hate this corner so much in this car, because you can't see the apex. Like, how am I meant to judge where I'm meant to turn in? I mean, I guess you could use a reference, something like around here, maybe when you hit this red barrier or something like that, but in general it's just disgusting. If you had triple screens you could probably see it a lot better, but I only am a single screen, so this is what I see. Boom, as soon as we sort of hit the curb, get back on the power. I'm going to put this in helicopter view as well, because that you cannot see where my line is basically, because it's almost, it's basically blind. Boom, that's the line. Okay. El Rouge Radion. Let's get that clear. So as soon as we almost get to this, we turn in. We just want to cut it as much as this as possible. The off track here is basically the gravel hit there. So cut as much as possible. As soon as we pass this curb, we start turning right. You can almost see the line I'm drawing with my mouse, and I'll show you a reference point, and it's a very good one. If you don't know it, you'll be happy that you know this one now. Okay, can you spot a reference point here? It's this right here, this bit of dirty section curve. You may be like, how the hell do I see that whilst I'm driving? But you definitely can. I spotted it in Le Mans Ultimate, and I've been using it ever since. So as soon as you hit this little rubber curb, I don't even know what that is, but we can straighten it up. We can start to straighten up the wheel, and you'll get a perfect cut every time. See how good that cut was? Okay, the rest of the camel straight is just flat out. No one wants to see me driving a straight line. Okay, so for Les Combes, the braking point here is quite late. GT3 cars, they brake at the start of this curb, at least in ACC and Le Mans Ultimate, all that sort of stuff. GT3 is now in Le Mans Ultimate, by the way, but anyway, who cares? So, brake here. So it's a few meters after we reach the start of the curb. It's quite short after, but it feels like an eternity when you're actually driving. This corner takes a lot of commitment. I've tried braking later. It does work, but it's almost slower, because then we have to brake more in the corner, and you just unsettle the car too much. So it's worth just braking a tad bit earlier here and lighter. You see how it's not a massive push, because a lot of telemetries, when I was looking at people's telemetries in Garage 51, something like that, 61, they they brake to 100%, and you can do that, but I just feel like it's too hard because then you have to roll off the brake really quickly to get away from that 100% brake pressure. So I recommend just braking to 80, keep it simple, and then roll off the brake pretty much instantly. And we want to cut this as much as possible. We're in third gear at this point. Third gear, cut. Try not to unsettle the car and try not to get an off track. The off track here is pretty much the gravel, so just be wary of that. In between these two chicanes, we give a little dab of throttle. This can also stop oversteer because it transfers weight to the rear tires. So this blip is quite important. And then for the second part of Lake Com, you don't want to hook your wheels on the inside of this curb. We want to just have our wheels on the curb, because if we hook our wheels on the inside of the curb, we get bumped and then we lose time on exit. So if we just ride the curb with our left wheels, we get a much better exit, and you do not really sacrifice any mid-corner speed for nothing major, so it's worth just riding the curb with your left wheels. As you can see, I got touched of oversteer here. That was because I got on the throttle too aggressively. For Malmedy, this kind of depends how well you take Lake Com. If you have a poorer exit out of Lake Com, then you can take this more flat out. If you have a good exit out of Lake Com, you have to lift more. So it's quite dynamic. Malmedy, it changes lap to lap. If your lines or you're inconsistent with Lake Com. But for me, this lap, it was just a quick 80% lift, which means that we release the throttle until the throttle is like 80%, and that is very momentarily. It's a very quick lift. It's literally just so you can feel the car rotate a little bit, then back on the power. Track limits here. Track limit to the gravel. We don't even want to go on the gravel anyway. Well, it's a bit further than just the gravel. It's half the car being off this curb. So we can use a lot here, but then the problem with if you monster truck it, you can get bumped and then you spin. So it's worth just sticking to just the Astro here. We brake as soon as we hit this curb. I braked a bit early on this lap, to be honest. I could have broke later, but for Bruxelles, or what else do people call it? It's Bruxelles. Yeah, Bruxelles. We want to, Rivage, sorry. We want to brake not very hard initially for it because we're going down a hill, so the car becomes not really underweighted, but it's on the nose a lot, so it's very oversteery. So we want to brake not very hard, and we trail down into second, and it's a slow trail brake, and we turn in a little bit early. The earlier we turn in, the more double apexy the corner is, but then the problem is if you double apex it too much, you get washed out with this car. So we want to be very careful, so it's best to do it a very slight V-shaped line. A very slight, it's more of a U. So get the turn-in point correct in this one. We got on the power really early here, to be honest, and you will smash into traction control, which is extremely annoying all the time, because it just feels like you're losing so much lap time, but you just have to trust that the car will react in the way that you want it to, because the car just follows the law of physics. All that you want, what you want the car to do, is not what the car wants to do, so you need to listen to the car. Okay, so we can ride this curb here, not too aggressively, but we can go on to it, so that's an improvement for this lap, but because it opens up. No name better, but I think it's named Jackie Ink's Corner now, if I'm not mistaken, because when I was watching the 24 Hours of Spa, one of the commentators said that, so I think I'm going to call this Ink's Corner. So we brake before we reach this marshal, the flag post, and it's a very light brush of the brakes. It's not a hard stab, it's a brush just to get the car where we want it to be. And we don't want to take the sausage curb, we just want to take the inside curb. Okay, so for Pouon, the braking mark is very late here. It's almost as we enter the corner, and I want you to notice something with my lap. I'm going to replay it a few times, so I'm very sorry if it annoys anyone, but I'm going to do a full uncut lap after this, without me pausing it or anything, without me talking as well, so that's always a bonus. So we want to get on the right hand side curb here, and we're going to be in 4th gear as we take pull on. See how I shift down mid corner, and see how light I'm braking. It's not a hard brake. It's a very light brake, and we keep this light braking because it just helps the fronts to bite, so then you don't have this terminal understeer, which this car loves to do. And I've seen people not take this, but I honestly think this is a lot faster. You can take this inside curb, we can mount it, and it sucks us into the corner. I did track limits here. It's as soon as your car scrapes the curb here, that's track limits. But I honestly think this didn't make me any faster by cutting this much, because it was on the grass, so I almost lost a bit of stability. So we can mount our wheels along this very flat piece of grass, but we can't have our wheels in the grass. See how early I can get back on the throttle if we cut. I am back on the throttle here before we even see the second apex. I'm literally back on the throttle before we even enter the midway through pull-on, and we can see that I'm using a very light steering angle. And that is because you feel the effects of trail braking more if you have less steering angle, and this has been revolutionary for me. I found this out today. I don't know what I was doing, but I went through pull-on and I just couldn't. People were gaining tenths on me in the race, so I just braked and then turned in less. So if I want more, and I hold that static less steering, and then I hold it, and then I add more brake if I want more rotation from the car, and that has transformed my driving. I don't know why, but try it. Honestly, I gained 3/10 just in pull-on alone because of this technique. I'm still yet to implement it in some of these corners, but I'm definitely working on it because it's quite a hard reset of what you think. It's because I've always thought of the brake as the steering. What I did later on, obviously, when I learned trail braking, but I never really understood why you can turn in so little but yet turn so much. It should be the brake that's doing 99% of the work. Braking marker for Piff Puff. It's as we hit this curb here. I still braked a bit prematurely here. I can brake a lot later. Well, not a lot, but as we hit this curb. So not great for me, to be honest. And it's not a very hard brake, and it's a very long brake through the corner. And we're basically prioritizing the mid corner speed, and we want to set up the left hander that comes over it nicely. So it's a very tough corner, to be honest, because you want to set up the left hander that comes after it, but you also want to have a good corner speed. I will show you the line through this corner. So we're aiming for the inside curb here, and we can hook our wheels around it, but the off track is very easy to get. It's as soon as your wheel touches the grass, any part of your right side wheels touches the grass, that's an off track. So you have to be very careful if you're going to take this curb, but it definitely gains you lap time, so it is worth it. You see how much it sucks me in? If I didn't take the curb, then I'd be washing out wide, but because it sucks me in, I can really get back on the throttle aggressively here and not compromise too much of the left hander. So we don't need to be all the way to the right for this left hander, because there's only a short, tiny straight after it. But we don't want to be all the way to the left, because then we just lose too much mid corner speed. So make sure that when you exit Piff Path, well, this is all Piff Path, but when you exit the first right hander, you're in the middle of the track. And then we can ride the inside curb again. Same off track applies. If your wheel touches any part of the grass, that's an off track. So you have to be very careful. See how close I'm cutting it here. Track limits it's quite far, to be honest. You can have any, as long as your two wheels are on this curb, you're fine. Missed the stop button. braking mark of here is as we reach this curb and we stay in third. This could be a lot better. I'm just going to say it now. Do not use this right hand side curb, or at least don't smash into it too much, because otherwise you lose too much exit speed. This is arguably one of the most important corners of the track, because what comes after it is the massive straight up to Blanchimont and then to the bus stop. So make sure that you prioritise this corner in your practice. You can do the active reset and just keep practicing this corner. Try and get it dialed down. This is all flat out. I think this is called that was Stavolo, this is Stavolo 2. All flat. Blanchimont, flat again. Just make sure you open up the steering as much as possible. Then for the bus stop, I have a hate-love relationship with this corner, this chicane, because sometimes you can gain so many tenths of lap time, but sometimes it's just it loses you a lot of the lap time. So the braking point for this is the 100 board right there. It's very late. In GT3s we normally brake at this white line, but for the LMP we brake at this 100 board. See how that is very late? I didn't even realise. So as that exits my screen, so very late for this corner. I'm stamped on the throttle there, brake. So I did an 80% or 90% even brake pressure here, and we go down into first. We don't want to hit this sausage curb too much, but we can really smash into this curb. Little bit of dab of throttle in between the chicane, and as soon as we start to exit this corner, we get back on the throttle. Boom, that is a lap of Spa-Francorchamps in a LMP3 car, and now I will let you enjoy the full lap, uncut, without me whining about what I can improve on. Thank you very much for watching. If you have any questions or suggestions, please write them in the comments. Obviously these track glides aren't the best, but I just hope they might help someone. In my last video it did help someone, or at least someone said it did, so I'm very happy, and that is all I hope for when I make these videos. And it's also for me to learn as well, because I spot the most mistakes when I try and teach someone. So yeah, thank you for watching, hope it helped.